The April 16th, 2020 special meeting of the Board of Selectmen will now come to order. Just for those that might be listening or watching on Facebook, we're trying to adhere to all the social distancing guidelines. So I'm here in a room with Stacy Haskell, and all the other members of the Board of Selectmen are joining via the phone, as well as our trusty tax collector, Linda, on the line. So I just want to confirm if you guys could just say your name. So June Strunk, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Deb Downey?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. And then we'll move over to Linda in a minute. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining. If anyone is joining via either Facebook Live or on the phone line, just to remind you to please keep your line muted as we are having an open line right now. Thank you so much. So even though I know we're all in different spots, if you guys want to join and do a Pledge of Allegiance, we thought it was nice to keep that tradition going. So please join. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's like a chorus line. It's lovely. Okay, on to the topic. Yes, that's nice. The topic of the week, or the past 2 weeks. So just to give a little background, we're talking about the tax deferment program, which is Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7S, and the subsequent resolution that we'd like to pass today from the Board of Selectmen. So in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7S, each municipality has to pass one of two, or together the two programs for taxpayers that are affected by COVID-19 pandemic. And so thankfully, Linda Camilio, our tax collector, has been working really hard in coordinating with a lot of other tax offices around the state. And so Linda can give us a brief overview, if that's fine with you, Linda.
Okay, so basically we have the choice of three programs. Well, two programs: deferment program, or deferment program with application, or low interest rate program. So the deferment program, some towns are doing it across the board, meaning that you essentially do not have to pay your taxes for 90 days, and there's no interest except for on the 91st day, October 2nd, interest goes back to the original due date of July 1st, which would be 6% tacked onto that. I prefer, as you all saw in my analysis, I prefer the deferment program by application, because I think the intent of this whole executive order is to help people in need. And the application is only one page long. It's very simple, and I think we would encourage it in as many ways as possible for those people who have been laid off, furloughed, or restaurants, businesses that have otherwise had to close down or limit their hours. I think absolutely we should encourage that and advertise it in as many places as possible. The low interest rate program, no matter how many times I have read and reread Governor's executive order and all the subsequent explanations and guidance they have given us, I just cannot see what benefit it is to the town, or the taxpayer for that matter. So I really don't have that much to say about that, other than, in speaking with Lynn Young several times today, and also listening to Tim's explanation too. I think none of us, including Danielle, I think, can see the benefit to the low interest rate program, either to the town or the taxpayer. So I would recommend deferment program by application.
And guys, I'll open it up for questions after we do the motion, but I did just want to add, so yeah, in preparation for this, I spoke separately with different members of the Board of Finance, and so did Linda, all kind of separately, so we could keep our FOI laws in check. But we wanted to be sure, we weren't missing any angles to this. And I do think after a lot of analysis, for both looking at the residents in need as well as the broader residents who rely on schools, police, fire, public works, sewer, human services, everything that our taxpayer dollars pay for, this deferment with the application really does seem like the best option on the table. And I just want to add a big thank you to Linda and her office for being willing to do the application portion, because we think it really does send the message strongly that this program is supposed to be for those who need it. And while it's a very simple application, you do have to swear that you do need it. And I think it's a good reminder for people that it's not a 90-day delay for use other ways. It's for people who really need it. And it's extra work for Linda and her team, but they're willing to take it on because it protects the town more, and all these services that we can provide. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to Linda for taking this on. And just in case you guys wanted some stats, CCM did a survey, and of the towns that responded, only 4 towns were doing both deferment and the low interest. 7 towns were doing low interest, and 21 towns are doing deferment, which is what we're suggesting. Of those, only 7 are doing the required application, and I think a lot of that is because other collector offices don't think they can take on this additional work. So just a big thank you to Linda. So maybe before we move to questions from you guys, could I get a motion to approve the tax deferment program and resolution?
This is Debbie. Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
This is June. I'll second the motion.
All right, so there's a motion and a second. Now, do you guys want to have a discussion or any questions for Linda or me?
This is Debbie. I just wanted to echo what you said and thank Linda for her clear communication she sent us and all the work, and for being willing to do the application.
Yeah, this is June. I want to say the same. I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I think Linda did a great job giving us a full analysis of our tax base, how much of it is actually escrowed, how much is paid directly by the property owners. So Linda, thank you very, very much, and also taking on the extra work of the application that is paid. So I'm in full support. It's great.
Thank you, guys. She's been working very hard on this, so thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. We had some discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, the motion carries. Linda, thank you. You're welcome to stay on, or you can hop off. I reverse the old business and new business in case you wanted to leave.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. And thank you guys. I mean, we're so lucky. I was just saying to Tim that we have such a relationship with each other. We collaborate with the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen, and each other. So I really appreciate that, because so many other towns don't have that relationship. So thanks, guys. I appreciate your support.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you again. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. So yeah, I thought I could roll my updates on COVID into the comments from the Selectmen, if that was fine with you guys, versus having a special segment on it. So I think I'll pause here just in case we do have anybody. I don't think we do, but any comments from the public? Nobody's on. It's just us. Feels weird. Oh, there's people on Facebook Live though. Hi. It's very weird. We're still not getting used to this. Okay, so maybe Deb, do you want to start with any comments from your side?
I just had a couple comments, just things that have come up, in the past couple weeks. One is something that might be interesting for us to revisit. It was a discussion that I had with a resident about noise ordinances or lack of noise ordinances, as the case may be in town. And I think that it may be something that's worth looking at. Apparently we don't really have an enforceable noise ordinance, and this individual has had issues with neighbors that have been riding dirt bikes for like hours at a time, such that they can't even sit, in their back room and watch TV anymore. So just something that I mentioned it to Danielle, but I wanted to mention it to you as well, June. I'm not certain, how we go about starting to look at it, but it seemed, I was surprised that we didn't have anything.
And Deb, do you want to share with June and I, for these people, the feedback was basically from the police that the kind of the noise ordinance that we do have in place really isn't enforceable? Was that the correct?
Yes, that's how it was explained to me, that it's not enforceable because either it didn't go to the state or somehow never was finalized. So there is kind of a version of a noise ordinance, but, there's really nothing they can do about it. Right. And I had no idea, and I need to do a little bit more research into that, but, these people, they have been to the police. They started there.
Yeah, they started there. No, I think it would be useful. I mean, and if you have time, that would be amazing. But if not, we could try and do it on our side. But just to look at what our existing noise ordinance publicly is from either the zoning or kind of enforcement side as well as the police side, and then to see where this status stands, and then maybe we could have a call with like Chief Stewart, Captain Olson, and Candy, and just kind of figure out how we could improve our noise ordinance.
Exactly, because it seems like if we don't have one, I know this isn't the first time it's come up. So,
yeah, no, definitely not.
It's something that,
Okay, great.
All right, well, I will see if I can find out some more about that. And really, then the only other two comments I had, one was I have been, as liaison to wetlands, just to let you know that I did go out today and looked at the property with Candy Palmer. And, we'll have some notes for her, just, wanted to respond to the residents' concern. And I did go out and take a look at it.
Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. And so I got some notes and some maps that I sent to Candy, just things that I had found. And I know they'll, discuss it at wetlands. And I'll kind of keep up following the situation once it goes, for discussion, or she'll present it at least to the Wetlands Commission.
Okay.
And the third thing was, I'm still, getting calls from people asking about the landfill. Like, will there be a time, maybe as we start hoping in the next few weeks to normalize things at some point, can it be reopened or somehow changed? Because these are people, I guess, that it's sometimes hard to get through on the phone. Other people, have said to me they haven't had an issue with it, but I've heard from a number of people who ask about that.
No, it's a good point. We'll meet with Tony, who's works the transfer station, has been kind of taking the charge on this, and then also John, and think about when we might be able to ease up. But we'll talk about it. In all honesty, it might not be until that kind of May 20th or end of May timeline. And again, just to reiterate to people, because I know it probably seems a bit intense to some people, but just to remind them that it was 2 weekends in a row where social distancing wasn't just not happening, it was like pretty blatantly irresponsible behavior. I'll go that far. I'll call it that. I know one Saturday they had over 400 cars there, and they said, well, some people were coming in and out pretty quickly. A lot of people were staying and chatting and catching up, which was understandable as a human reaction, but during this time they really can't be doing that. So I think just to remind people, we didn't just do this kind of for no reason. It really was a problem on the weekends, and it is unfortunate that our technology isn't as advanced as it should be, and there's only one line at the transfer station, and there's no Wi-Fi, so we can't do kind of computer-based program appointments as well as the phone. So it is challenging, and we appreciate people's patience. It's not ideal, but hopefully it won't be too long. And again, I'd encourage people, if they can, to call during the weekdays. It's less busy. People should be able to get through. But I will talk to them if we feel like we could, maybe even ease in, maybe only on the weekends needing appointments, or we'll talk to them and see if we can figure something out.
Okay, no, that sounds great. As I said, I've just, heard from a number of people, and maybe if there's a way to kind of just do the appointments on the weekends, it might help some people. But yeah, that's, it's a good point well made that they don't have the wireless out there. They don't have the ability to do the computer.
Yeah, and I think it's also good to see, we've been looking at other transfer stations, and again, some are just full on closed. A few others, like Ledger, they extended their hours, but they were originally only open 3 days a week. So, I think they extended theirs to allow for more social distancing by adding time, but they were still open, half the amount of time we were open. So, I think it's just good for people to remember, like, we're in the pandemic and, look around at what other towns are doing. And, while the appointments aren't ideal, they hopefully represent a good compromise between just all out closing and other things. But again, as we see what happens over the next couple of weeks, maybe we could look at something like appointments only certain days, or at least give some more clarity about when we might move away from the appointments.
That sounds great. And my last comment was just to say, thank you to so many of the residents. I am just so impressed and amazed by all these wonderful things a lot of people are doing. People are volunteering, they're making masks, the people that are donating to help their neighbors with the food, helping out businesses and restaurants. I mean, everywhere I look, I see more great community things going on, and I'm just really happy to see that.
It is good to look at some of the brighter spots in all of this. Thanks, Deb. June, anything from your side?
Yeah, so I do have one update, but Deb, I just wanted to make a comment on the things that you had suggested. A number of years ago, and I don't know if maybe you've already seen this, but I can remember when I was on planning and zoning, there was a problem with one of the restaurants playing music till 2 o'clock in the morning in a restaurant in a residential area. So that may have started something to put a noise ordinance together. And then also I remember an incident when I was on the Board of Finance. It had nothing to do with the Board of Finance, but it was just a communication from the first selectman at the time, that a similar situation to what you're talking about with dirt bikes. But it was where the dirt bikes were so close to the neighboring house that they almost could spray dirt on that house. But there was nothing that we could do to stop that from happening. So this is something that kind of fell through the cracks. So I'm glad you're bringing it up. I forgot all about that. That's great. So
thanks.
But just to look into maybe there's more background.
Yeah.
So just K through 12. I know none of the boards and commissions are meeting except for Board of Finance and for us. But K through 12, we are going to meet next week or the week after through WebEx, through something like this, mostly to pay invoices because the project's not completely finished. I mean, it's kind of finished, but we still have outstanding invoices, so we want to make sure that we pay our vendors. And with schools being closed, we're going to find out how far our construction manager has gotten with punch list items. And a few things that needed to be fixed. So it's over 7 years that this project is going on. It's almost at an end, and I think I started saying that a year ago. It's like it's coming to an end soon. But we're going to be meeting in the either next week or the week after, as soon as we can figure out this technology. I mean, some of us are being forced to learn technology that I might rather have liked to have lived without having to know. But that's where we are with K-12. At least now with nobody occupying the schools, there are some things that needed to be done that we were going to wait for this summer. And so we'll get an update to see where we are with some of the changes that we're specifically looking at changing out the countertops in the bathrooms. That was going to be a summer project, but I think we can move that up now that the schools aren't occupied.
Good.
So I think that's really all that I have. Deb would like to echo what you said about how incredible this community is and how everybody is working together. And Danielle, you're just doing an outstanding job. I'm glad you're at the helm through this, unprecedented time. So,
thank you.
Those are my only comments. Yep.
No, thank you guys, and I'll keep it short too. Basically, just so you guys know, and if anyone is listening or tuning in later, the state has been doing a really good job trying to coordinate and communicate. So we have probably about 3 calls a week with different contact points. One's like for our region specifically, one's for the whole state, and touches more, I'd say, on like economic and kind of local also issues, and the other one focuses more on the specifics of the health kind of component. But it's been really useful. The message is kind of, I think, the same that everybody else is getting. They're still looking at end of May as a potential reopening, and then how does that work? They've established this reopening commission for Connecticut. In addition to that broader kind of governor coalition for Connecticut, will have a specific task force, and then they'll be, I think, appointing people this week and next week to represent different industries and groups. So I think that's promising that they're already really talking and looking at how do we reopen the economy and what does that mean, and hopefully we'll start getting some insights and information on what that might look like. But I think from what we've heard so far is that it's definitely going to be a slow open. Restaurants and retail shops being asked to operate probably at a much lower capacity. And then, just the idea is this going to come back again in the fall. So really looking at that as well. Hasn't been the most uplifting week, I'd say, but I do echo what Deb, you brought up in June. I mean, just trying to have people focus on a lot of the positive things in the community. Just in addition, I wanted to add, within less than 24 hours, we put out a call for people to donate cotton and flannel sheets or shirts. A group called the Connecticut Mask Makers had put it out, and we got the collection point was in Gales Ferry, so we just said, we could make Town Hall another stop, and this very nice volunteer, a local resident, offered to then drive it up to Gales Ferry, and we got more than a carload full of donations. It was just amazing, and with such short notice, people dropped off so many things. It was really fantastic, and they're also going to be sewing masks for the Stonington PD, in addition to a lot of other people that they're sewing masks for. We also have some local sewers doing it on their own, and they've distributed to all the kind of rehab and elder care facilities, and they've been just fantastic doing some extra work on the ground. And then, like you guys mentioned, there's the Stonington Feed Stonington group that has collected more than $12,000 in donations that are all going back to local businesses, but also being given to seniors and families and individuals who might be on hard times, so people know somebody's thinking about them, and they get to treat themselves to hopefully one nice takeout meal from a restaurant. So it's just such a nice thing that residents are kind of stepping up and doing. There'll also be a website that's going to be launched hopefully this week where people can sign up locally to volunteer or to say that they need help. That's being done by another group of just local residents, coordination with us and with Human Services to be sure it's complementary to other efforts. But it's really been fantastic, and I know the state has a similar one that's up and running. So there has been a lot of positive angles to all of this as well. And then just to say on the boards and commissions, in addition to K through 12, the Board of Assessment Appeals will be having meetings. They've been doing a lot of training on how that'll work. It's pretty challenging, but we're trying to get up and running. We're going to attempt a planning and zoning meeting. Again, that's going to be pretty challenging, but we're going to look at how we might be able to do that, so that way in May one of those meetings could happen. And then similarly, hopefully a boathouse, Mystic River Park boathouse meeting could happen sometime in May, because we do have indication from the state that they will be opening the applications end of May, June timeframe, with them being due in July or August. So, we'll see if the state actually has any money that they can give for brownfield cleanup, but if they do, we want to be sure we're ready. So those are the meetings that we're going to try and work on our end to get up and running, but it's basically Stacy and Roger trying to do a ton of work getting people trained and up and running, so it's a lot of extra work for people, so just a big thank you to them for everything. And I think those are the big things. I guess the only other thing is, just to remind people, if you guys talk to them, that I know it feels like we've been doing social isolation for so long, but our peak isn't supposed to come until mid-May here. So we do have longer to go, but every day matters. It gives more time. Like just on Friday, I think it was Thursday, we got our PPE masks, the N95 masks in that could go then to the firehouses, and the ambulance had gotten theirs a little bit earlier in the week. So every day buys us time and gets the hospitals more time. So I know it's hard for people to stay in, and the weather is going to be getting nicer, but anything you can do to encourage people just to keep staying in and try just for a few more weeks to hang in there. It can make such a big difference. And right now we know of 18 cases in Stonington. We'll get an update tomorrow, so we'll see how we're doing. We'll share that on the website and online. But so far we've been really fortunate here in Stonington.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have when planning and zoning is figured out, if I could just ask to be on the email distribution so I can attend it also. And Deb, I'm sure you want to do the boathouse. So
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
okay.
All right, guys. Thank you. Try and have a good weekend.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
Thanks. All right,
Thanks
we
so
are
much.
adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.